So Sheena's putting all my business on the street. Thank you so much, Sheena, for that incredible introduction. Sheena is indeed my sister and fellow Harlemite and cocktail buddy. I also want to thank the board of McSilver and the Silver family. And I want to really thank two people who I call forces of nature, Mary McKay and Gary Parker, who I've known during my time as a deputy borough president with Scott Stringer. And Gary was one of those people who just could fit into everything and help us lead a number of initiatives, whether it was around Go Green Lower East Side or our work on community board reform. So I'm really just so thankful to the both of you for the work that you are doing, and Gary for not only being a friend, but a supporter of the work that is done throughout the city. I also want to acknowledge all the honorees, especially one of my favorite borough presidents, Ruben Diaz Jr., who really I think is a champion for the underserved and those who don't get recognized. For me, this is a moment, it's a full circle moment. I turned 50 3 weeks ago, and it's sort of, a moment where you restore. And I get to do work as a commissioner on an issue I'm really passionate about. And what's interesting about domestic violence, it's an issue that's so pervasive that it's almost invisible. And when I think about these last couple of days, when I look at what's happening in California, when I look at what happened in Pakistan yesterday to the woman who was stoned by her father and relatives because she married the person that she loved instead of the person who they wanted to arrange a marriage, and of course what's happening in Nigeria. What's interesting is that there's this perception that that stuff happens over there, right? People, I'm amazed about what's happening in Nigeria. I think it's incredible, the kind of compassion and energy that's going around that. But I also think to myself, how do we translate that energy here to New York City so that people understand and know that trafficking is indeed happening here in the city of New York, and we have the opportunity to do something collectively as New Yorkers. One of the greatest things about being a part of the de Blasio administration is that we have a mayor who's talking our language. And for those of us who've been in the trenches, I know Joel Berg is here, someone who I admire a lot, is, we've been waiting for this moment. At least I can say I've been waiting for this moment. And to have someone that puts forward not as a talking point the issue of income inequality and injustice really excites me. And for me, the issue of gender justice, along with many other issues, is the structural beam for realizing that. And so I look forward to working with Mary and Gary and all of you on this issue of domestic violence. The one stat that I give is that, and just really connecting it to this mandate that the mayor has talked about, 24% of New York City's population lives in neighborhoods high poverty, high unemployment, low education attainment. Those neighborhoods account for 40% of domestic violence homicides in New York City. So there's a direct intersection. And the question I continue to ask when I go to community boards is, do we care about the lives of women and girls? Do we care about, in the same way that we care about transportation and garbage and all of these other things, that we need to understand that as part of talking about our communities, public safety in the broader sense has to also include a discussion about what's happening in terms of domestic violence. And for those who think live in neighborhoods where this issue is not prevalent, it doesn't mean that it's not happening in your neighborhood. It just means that people are using other resources. So I hope that you will join me and McSilver to really look at this issue, because otherwise it will be a dream deferred if every man, woman, and child in New York City cannot be either in their home or walk on the street or be on the train and not be free of violence. So thank you very much.
Well, I think one of the things is we really need to talk to our young people about the issue of domestic violence, because I think sadly we have a lot of our youngsters who are unaware of what is a healthy relationship. And I think it's not just for middle schoolers and high schoolers. I think we have to start really young, and I think we need to think about different kinds of curriculums and programs that not only teach young people about it, but parents as well. And so I think prevention, we need to start young. We need to talk about these issues because we know when children witness domestic violence, it has an impact on cognitive learning, but it can also increase the likelihood of either you being in an abusive relationship or being abusive yourself. So that would be one of the most important things I'd like to do, is to really engage communities in educating our kids on this issue.